Shabbat Shalom, beautiful Pnei Or Chevra and extended family far and wide. Parshat Mikketz. We resume the saga of Yosef with a parsha that will in key ways set the stage for the foundational drama of our people, our descent into enslavement in Mitzrayim and ascent into liberation. As you recall, when we last met our hero, the master of dreams, he'd been seized and sold by his brothers into a caravan headed down into Egypt. His capacity to channel prophetic dreams disrupts his favorite son act and hurls him down towards slavery and prison. His capacity to interpret prophetic dreams will liberate him from prison and land him today's pivotal interview with Pharaoh, the game changer that elevates him to power, second only to Pharaoh, ruling all of Mitzrayim. He will be mighty, though far from free, and neither from Pharaoh or from his past. The Holy Baal Shem Tov gives us a powerful teaching that offers a point of entry into the saga, one of many, but worth pursuing. This is known as Yerida Tzorech Aliyah, descent for the sake of ascent. The Baal Shem Tov wants us to understand that sometimes, often when we are aimlessly coasting, or worse, smug in our achievements, we crash hard. Why? Just bad luck? Well, maybe. But more likely, because there is something imperative to learn. Because the Holy One knows a shake-up is needed. And this is Yerida Tzorech Aliyah. And this is descent for the sake of ascent. While it may only become clear gradually, or in retrospect, the purpose is to force a spiritual maturation, a spiritual deepening, a significant soul maturation, and engender a dramatic spiritual rebound to challenge our complacency, force deeper introspection, open us to a higher destiny, greater awareness, higher consciousness. Look at how often this happens in Torah, says the Besht, giving Avraham as an example. And Avraham descended to Mitzrayim. And Avraham came up from Mitzrayim. Avraham, says the Besht, is like each of our souls. And Mitzrayim represents the great incubator that, on the one hand, traps the holy light with which our soul is connected, and also tests us and prepares us for what comes next. Yerida Tzorech Aliyah, descent for the sake of ascent. We fall in order to rise. Yosef. Is he not the ultimate comeback kid? Ups and downs, repeatedly. What is he supposed to learn? Let's look at the text for clues. Even as each ascent raises him higher, each descent is more sustained and grievous than before. A deep lesson is unfolding. It begins as we read last week. Behold, the big shot dreamer comes, say the brothers. Let's take him down a notch or two. Throw him into the pit. What is a pit? In the Middle East, a pit, a bor, is a dried up well. Bor, written Beit Resh, both container letters. But a pit contains nothing. Torah describes a pit for us. Ein bo mayim. It has no mayim, no water. It is a bor, not a be'er. Pit. Bor, Beit Resh. Well, be'er, Beit Aleph Resh. Torah wants us to understand the difference. What is the difference between a dry pit and a flowing wellspring? Just an aleph. Aleph. The flowing presence of the Infinite One. Aleph, the life-sustaining mayim flow of God. The pit has to reach down into the Aleph, the deep well Shekhinah aquifer, for water to flow. Too shallow? It's a pit. Deep enough? It's a well. Each time Yosef is cast back into the pit is deeper, yet brings him closer to water. We can be as talented as Yosef, or uniquely talented in the ways that each of us are. But when we're too shallow, into the pit. Yosef is thrown into the bor. Then, reprieve, pulled up from the pit and sold into a deeper pit. Bitter slavery. Yet again he rises, pulled up from that pit. He finds himself a most privileged slave in charge of a noble household. Much can be said about the dynamics here. He is handsome, privileged, excels at every task. All in all, it's pretty good. But one expectation of his role he declines to fulfill. Refusing to serve as lover to his master's wife, he finds himself, yes, thrown down again into a yet deeper pit. He is deep in the dungeon with no parole. Yet he rises, at least partially, again. Model prisoner. He is elevated to supervisor, second only to the warden. He's in charge of the whole calabozo. But he cannot get out. What is going on? Follow the plot line. In prison, Yosef correctly interprets the dream of Pharaoh's jailed wine steward and baker. The baker is indeed executed, and the wine steward returns to his job, but does not keep his promise to tell Pharaoh about Yosef until 2 years later. Pharaoh dreams. Of these dreams, the Chernobyl Rabbi says, 7 cows represent 7 sephirot, 7 divine qualities or talents in each of us. Each offers a unique point of soul connection, a quality of divine radiance, a healthy cow. And each has a shadow side, the withered cow. Each has a talent, a gift, and a trap. The healthy and withered cows both come from the same source. Each talent can be a be'er or a bor. The gift of these sephirot is flowing mayim, a wellspring of love of God and all creation, victory over selfishness and ego, opening the heart to appreciation and gratitude, and celebrating the divine as present in all of existence. The trap, the empty pit, the very same gifts can wither into narcissism, glorification of the self, and locating one's ego as the center of everything. This is the challenge to the Yosef in each of us. Yes, Yosef is uniquely talented and headed towards greatness. But that greatness is entirely contingent on mastering his crippling inner withered cows and transforming the pits into wells. This is a powerful lesson. Withered cows and pitfalls, healthy cows and flowing well springs. It's a long slog and a steep learning curve. Each time he does not get it, or get it enough, another descent, another deeper pit. Finally, he does the inner work. We hear the results. Says Pharaoh to Yosef, "I've heard you can interpret dreams." Remarkably, Yosef replies, "Hooray! It is not I who do this. God will provide an answer that will give the Pharaoh shalom." Soul maturation underway. And increasingly active. Revealed further next week in his surprisingly humble gesture of generosity and grace as he calms his terrified brothers who legitimately anticipate retribution, saying, "It was to sustain life that God sent me ahead of you." Our challenge and our bracha this Shabbos is simply this. Yosef learns to see God in his gifts and his purpose, not his own might and power. His pit became a well. His inner withered cows overcome. Kenti alanu. So may it be for us. May this Shabbos offer each of us whatever insight we might need at this time. It is a time of renewal and new light, and some preventative medicine too. So we need not spend too much time in the pits. May our healthy cows thrive, and all our wells be full. Shabbat Shalom. If you are group watching at this time, in a moment you might wish to just hit pause so you can have some holy conversations. We will return to enter the gate of Torah. We enter the gate of Torah. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo, Yisrael b'kedushato.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai Yerushalayim, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai Yerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo, Yisrael b'kedushato, Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo, Yisrael b'kedushato.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו.
גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממה
שמו יחדיו.
As always, as we call our unified Aliyah to Torah, if any of these teachings touch your life circumstances, rise in any way you might wish and reach towards Torah.
ויעזור ויגן ויושיע לכל החוסים בו, ונאמר אמן. הכל הבו גודל אלוהינו, תנו כבוד לתורה. נא לעמוד לתורה. Come on up. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו, ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קרבנו לעבודתו ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. ויהי מקץ שנתיים ימים. Yosef is left to languish in the dungeon for 2 more years. Pharaoh cholem. Now Pharaoh dreams. And in his dream he sees 7 healthy, strong cows coming up by the riverbanks. And then 7 gaunt and diseased cows come up and devour the 7 fat, healthy cows. And he wakes up. He goes back to sleep. Vayishan vayachalom shenit. He dreams a second time. 7 fat, healthy clumps of grain on one stalk are devoured by 7 meager, diseased clumps of grain on another stalk. V'hinei chalom, and it was all a dream. Vayhi baboker vatipoem rucho. In the morning, his spirit is disturbed, and he sends to call on all of his shamanic experts in Mitzrayim, all the wise men. Vaysaper Paro lahem et chalomo v'en poter otam leFaro. He tells all of this to all of these. Nobody can explain it. Vaydaber sar hamashkim et Paro lemor. And then the wine steward speaks up to Pharaoh, saying, "By your leave, Majesty, I remember my mistakes. Pharaoh was once angry at me and the baker and put us in the dungeon. We each had a strange dream. There with us was Na'ir Ivri Eved L'Sara Tabachim, was a young Hebrew slave. He told us, explaining exactly what our dreams were. And as he explained it, so it happened. I was restored to the side of Paro to serve the wine, and the baker was hung." So now Pharaoh sends to the dungeon, Vayikra et Yosef, calling on Yosef. They run him out of the dungeon. They give him a shave and a haircut and clean clothes, and he stands before Pharaoh. So Pharaoh says now, El Yosef, Chalom chalamti ufoter ein oto vani shamati alecha lemor tishmach halom liftor oto. I had this dream, nobody can explain it, but I've heard you have dream power and can explain dreams. Vaya'an Yosef et Paro lemor biladai Elohim Yanet Shalom Paro. It doesn't come from me. It's Elohim who will answer to the Shalom of Paro. So Pharaoh recounts the entire experience. First one dream, then another dream. And he says, Va'omar el Chartumim. I talked to all my magicians and shamans. Nobody could tell me what's going on. Vayomer Yosef el Paro. Yosef says to Paro, this dream is one dream in combination. Elohim is sending a message to Pharaoh to say what is going to happen. The 7 cows that are healthy and the 7 sheaves are 7 years of rich, plenty, surplus harvests going to happen in Mitzrayim. The 7 weak and diseased cows and sheaves are 7 years of famine that will follow the good years. They will be so bad that you won't remember the good times. This is what Elohim is saying to Pharaoh. And the reason for it being 2 dreams, it's a double dream, it is one dream. It means this is coming directly from Elohim, and it is going to happen very soon. So now, Ve'ata yere Paro ish navon v'chacham v'shitehu al eretz Mitzrayim yaseh Paro v'yifkod pekidim al aretz v'chimesh et eretz Mitzrayim b'sheva shnei hasava. If I may suggest, Paro should appoint a food czar to be the master of all of the harvest of Mitzrayim, who will organize an administration of overseers who will collect all of the surplus harvests throughout the 7 good years and store them so that they may be given out over the 7 bad years, that Mitzrayim will survive this dark time of 7 years of famine. Vayitav hadavar beinei Paro. And this sounded like a really good idea to Pharaoh, uvenei chol avadav, and to all of the courtiers. Vayomer Paro el avadav, and Pharaoh turns to all of the courtiers and says, anybody see anybody smarter than this guy who can channel the spirit wind of Elohim, asher ruach Elohim bo? Vayomer Paro el Yosef. Pharaoh says to Yosef, after you give me knowledge of Elohim, nobody I could see would be smarter and more understanding than you. You're it. You the man. You will be over all of my house, and you will speak from my mouth, and you will be the master of Mitzrayim, except I on my throne stay higher than you. I own you. Rak hakisei egdal mimeka. Vayomer Paro el Yosef re'ei. Now see, I am putting you in charge of the whole land of Mitzrayim. Paro takes his signet ring off his hand, puts it on the hand of Yosef. He is dressed in robes of fine linen. he is given the chain of golden royal authority around his neck. Vayarkev oto b'mirkevet hamishne asher lo, and he is set up on Pharaoh's favorite chariot number 2. And he goes out over Mitzrayim, and wherever he goes, they call out, Lefanav Avrech, everybody on your knees. And now, Yosef goes out over the whole land of Mitzrayim. ותחילנה 7 שני עשרה אשר היה בארץ מצרים, ותכלנה 7 שני הרעב. לבוא כאשר אמר יוסף. And the 7 good years go by, and the 7 bad years arrive as Yosef had predicted. And now there is a famine in the entire region, in all of the lands around. Yet there is still bread in Mitzrayim, uvechol eretz Mitzrayim hayalachem. ותירב כל ארץ מצרים ויצעק העם אל פרעה ללחם ויאמר פרעה לכל מצרים לכו אל יוסף אשר יאמר לכם תעשו. And food gets short. The people come crying to Pharaoh for bread. Pharaoh says, go talk to Yosef. He'll tell you what to do. והערב היה על כל פני הארץ. Vayiftach Yosef. Yosef opens up the granaries and the storehouses and feeds grain to Mitzrayim. And yet, Vayichezak hara'av be'eretz Mitzrayim. V'chol ha'aretz ba'u Mitzrayim lishbor el Yosef ki chazak hara'av b'chol ha'aretz. The famine gets heavier and harder, and peoples from all around make the trek down to beg from Yosef some food because the famine is all over. Vayar Yaakov ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim. Yaakov sees that there's food in Mitzrayim, saying to his sons, Lama titro, why are you sitting around looking at each other? I have heard, hine shamati, ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim, redu shama, v'shivru lanu misham, v'nichye b'no lamut. So go, you, down to Mitzrayim, and bring us back grain so that we could live and not die. Vayerdu achei Yosef asara lishbor bar Mitzrayim. So indeed, 10 brothers go down to Mitzrayim. Binyamin, the brother of Yosef, lo shalach Yaakov. Yaakov doesn't send him along with the other brothers, ki amar, saying, lest some disaster happen to him. Vayavo'u b'nei Yisrael lishbor b'toch haba'im. Now the sons of Yisrael arrive to ask for grain from all of the others who are requesting it. Ki haya ra'av be'eretz Canaan, because the famine was indeed strong up in Canaan also. Ve'Yosef hu hashalit al haaretz hu hamashbir lechol am haaretz. Yosef now, he is the master, he is the supreme power, delivering food where he is allowing them to have it all over the land, to all of the peoples of the lands. Vayavo achei Yosef, vayishtachavu lo apayim arza. And now the brothers of Yosef arrive to beg for food, and they prostrate themselves. They fall flat on their faces on the ground. Yosef sees his brothers. He recognizes them. Oh no, it's them. Vayar Yosef et Echav Vayar Kirem. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai notel haTorah.
May the Holy One of Blessing, who has blessed all of our people, bless everyone who has reached towards Torah with the bracha that you need right now. You might wish to just quietly bring your hand to your heart and center in on the bracha that you hope for at this time. May we each receive whatever insight we need at this time, for it is a time of renewal and new light, so that we need not spend too much time in the pit. May our healthy cows thrive, and may all of our wells be full. At this time, it is our custom to offer prayers for healing. Once again, if you are crowd watching, if you're group watching, you can feel free to hit pause to collectively call out the names of those to whom we send our healing prayers. Bring to your heart the image of all of those in need of healing. Bathe them in healing light. As we call out the ancient words that Moshe Rabbeinu called out when Miriam, his sister, was stricken, and he prayed, Ana ilna rafanallah, please God, please heal. We acknowledge that this week the coronavirus vaccine has begun to be distributed. May that bring a time of hope and some preventive medicine for as many people as can be reached.
Ana elna refanala, Ana elna refanala, Ana elna refanala, Ana elna refanala.
May there be a complete healing. Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, for a healing of spirit and a healing of body for all of us and for all of those whom we hold in our hearts.
Amen.
We stay present as the scroll is lifted.
Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe Yisrael ve'oraita v'kudesha b'richu chalhu Yisrael ve'oraita v'kudesha b'richu chadehu Torah ora, Torah ora, Hallelujah. Torah ora, Torah ora, Hallelujah. לשובע חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו
Holding in our hearts all the prayers and blessings of the morning, we affirm the most hopeful vision of a possible future. A future of shalom, wholeness, completion, perfection, fulfillment, and peace. Aleinu, for us and all the people and creatures of the world.
Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'alulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'alulam. Salam, salam, aleinu ve'ale kol ha'olam. Shalom, salam, v'ne'ema ve'haya Adonai lemelech ha'aretz v'yom Vayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo
Holding in our hearts a vision of a perfected world. At this time of renewal and new light, we offer a Kaddish Yatom, that all of the neshamas, all the souls for whom a mourner's Kaddish is offered this morning, rise yet higher into the infinite loving light. If you are group watching, you may also at this time wish to hit pause to call out the names of those for whom a Kaddish Yatom is offered this morning. Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbo, be'olma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon u'b'yom echon u'b'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kariv v'imru Amen yehe shemei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'l'olmei u'l'maya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעולמה ואמרו אמן יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. May the one who makes shalom, wholeness, completion, perfection, fulfillment, and peace in the highest of high places continue to help us each walk a path of shalom, to become the shalom which we seek. And may there be a great and lasting shalom for us and for all the peoples and creatures of this beautiful blue-green planet. Bimhera v'yameinu, speedily and in our day.
Amen.
Today would be good. In Kelohenu.
En Kelohenu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalgenu, en Kemoshienu, Michelohenu, Michadonenu, Michemalgenu, Michemoshienu, Nodel
Shabbat shalom, beautiful friends.
Shabbat.